Hello students, welcome to the Classroom Point. In today's session, we shall discuss some of the interesting questions of chemistry. So in this session, we are going to discuss only 6 questions. Hope you may get the information from these questions. If you think that you got the useful information, please do not forget to subscribe the channel and share it with your friends. Now here there is a question. When sodium reacts with excess of oxygen to produce sodium peroxide, the equivalent masses of sodium and oxygen in this reaction are respectively. So some different options have been given over here. Let's try to see the sodium peroxide initially. This is the sodium peroxide Na2O2. So this Na2O2 contains 2 Na plus ions plus a peroxide ion O2 minus 2. This is a peroxide ion. We know that how to calculate the equivalent mass of the ions. So equivalent mass of any ion is equals to ionic mass divided by charge carried by the ion. So here the ionic mass is of only 1 mole of ions. In such cases, charge also carried by the single ion. Now let us see here. Sodium. Equivalent mass of the sodium is Na plus. Sodium atomic mass is 23. Charge carried by the sodium, each sodium is only 1. So that its equivalent mass is 23. Similarly, let us try to calculate the equivalent mass of the peroxide ion, O2 minus 2. So here you may take it as a combining of the molecular mass of the complete oxygen, or else if you want to take the separate ion here, if you take the molecular mass of the oxygen, that shall be 32 and the total charge shall be the 2. And if you consider only single oxygen, then its atomic mass is 16 and each oxygen gets only 1 unit negative charge. So it will be 16 by 1. So both will give the same answer. So anyhow, I'll take the atomic mass here, 16 of each oxygen, and each oxygen carries only single unit negative charge, so that it is 16. So answer is 23 and 16. So option D is correct. Option A is wrong. Most of us usually thinks that oxygen always converted to the O minus 2 oxide ion. So when oxygen is converted to the oxide ion, then its equivalent mass is equals to 16 by 2, that equals to 8. When oxygen is being converted to the, means I am not writing the balanced equation, just writing the normal equation. See here, O2, peroxide ion I am writing, peroxide ion, then equivalent mass of the each oxygen here is, if you take combined, 32 by 2 is equals to 16. And in case of the superoxides, O2 shall be converted to the O2 minus, which is called as the superoxide ion. So equivalent mass of the superoxide ion is 32 by single negative charge, it is carrying the total ion. So 32 by 1 equals to 32. So usually most of the cases we think that oxygen equivalent mass is 8, but equivalent mass is a not constant one. It varies. Depends on the type of the or quantity of the charge carried by that particular ion. Now let's go to the next question. So the second question is, consider the following disproportionation reaction. One equation have been given here. The equivalent mass of chlorine in this reaction is. So I'll write down the equation here. 3Cl2 plus 6NaOH gives 5NaCl plus NaClO3 plus 3H2. We know the meaning of the disproportionation reaction. It means that a single element is participating both oxidation as well as the reduction in a particular given chemical reaction. So here chlorine oxidation state is 0 because in molecular form, and here chlorine oxidation state is -1, here it is +5. So from here to here chlorine is reduced, and from here to here chlorine is oxidized. So it is acting as both oxidizing agent as well as the reducing agent. It is reduced in the sense here it is acting as an oxidizing agent. Whether it is oxidizing agent or reducing agent, equivalent mass of either oxidizing agent or reducing agent can be calculated using the formula here: ionic mass or formula mass divided by difference in the charge. Difference in the charge. So this difference in the charge includes the electrons may be taken out or the electrons may be given. So let us take first of all here chlorine is converted to the Cl-m. So equivalent mass of the chlorine while converting chlorine molecule to the Cl-, that is a reduction reaction. So here in this chlorine reduction reaction, or it is also called as oxidizing agent, then in this case each chlorine atomic mass is 35.5. I am taking only the one chlorine atomic mass, and the charge carried by each chlorine is only 1. Here it is 0, difference is only 1. So 35.5 by 1 is equals to 35.5. And similarly chlorine is also participating in the oxidation reaction, that means reducing agent. So if it participating as a reducing agent, chlorine to this chlorine, again atomic mass is same, 35.5 divided by difference in oxidation state is 5. Then you will get the 7.1. And don't take the average of this because this reaction is different from this reaction. So here two answers are correct, that is 35.5 and 7.1. If you take the mean of these two, you will get this answer, which is wrong. This type of the mistakes usually we do in the competitive examinations. Let's try to see some interesting question. That is question number 3. Which of the electromagnetic radiations contain the highest energy of the photons? So we know that people thinks that cosmic rays, gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet, visible, infrared, microwaves and radio waves. Usually they follow the electromagnetic spectrum where the frequency decreases from cosmic rays to the radio waves and the wavelength increases, and we know that E equals to h nu. So when the frequency increases, usually energy also increases. So we think that cosmic rays are the rays with the highest energy, which is wrong. Actually, gamma rays are the rays that are with the highest energy here. So answer is gamma rays. Let's try to discuss the reason why. Here it is clearly mentioned that electromagnetic radiation. So they are discussing about the electromagnetic radiation. So this is the electromagnetic radiation, but here cosmic rays are not electromagnetic radiation. Not electromagnetic radiation. These are just a particle rays. So these are the high energy particles coming from the space. So usually this is included in the electromagnetic spectrum. So actually we are misguided. Cosmic rays are not the electromagnetic radiations. They are just high energy particles. So it begins from the gamma rays. So high energy photons are associated with the gamma rays. Let's go to the another interesting question. This is another interesting question. The question is, the kinetic energy of subatomic particle is 6.625 into 10 power minus 19 joules. Calculate the frequency of the particle wave. So Planck's constant value also have been given over here. Let us think here. E equals to h nu. Energy is given 6.625 into 10 power minus 19 joules. And the Planck's constant value also given 6.626 into 10 power minus 34 joule second, and the frequency is to be calculated. 6.625, 6.626 approximately get cancelled out. So that frequency is equals to 10 power minus 19 into 10 power 34. So usually we think that 10 power 15 hertz or per second is the answer. So we think this is an answer which is wrong, because E equals to h nu. Whatever E equals to h nu is given, this is applicable only to the photons. But the given concept over here is subatomic particles. So for subatomic particles, we cannot apply this particular formula. It is not applicable also. Then which formula is applicable? Let us see. You will get the good formula here, and it shall be very helpful to you while solving the problems. We know that kinetic energy is equals to half mv square, and it can also be written as kinetic energy K equals to half into mv into v. And we know that from de Broglie's equation, lambda equals to h by mv. And here we know that linear momentum P equals to m into v. It is not a frequency v. So I can write here it is h upon p. So here I can write the p value. K equals to half mv value is p no, so that p into v means velocity. Now here in place of p equals to h upon lambda. So in place of p, I will write down the h upon lambda, so that k equals to half h upon lambda into v. And here we are going to discuss one more important thing. Frequency units are meters per second. Meters are the units of length. We can take it as a wavelength. And sorry, this is not the frequency, velocity. Velocity units are meters per second, and here meters are the units of length, so that I can take the lambda, and per seconds are the units of the frequency, so I can take the nu. So velocity is equals to the product of frequency and lambda. So in the place of velocity, I can write down this one, so that Ke kinetic energy equals to half h upon lambda into frequency. Lambda cancel out, and the final form of the kinetic energy equals to half h nu. I think you got the new and important formula. So this is derived from the de Broglie's equation. It is applicable to the all type of the particles. So this can be utilized to any type of the particle. Now let's try to solve our problem here. So kinetic energy is equals to half h into nu. We need to calculate the frequency, that is equals to 2 Ke by h. So nu equals to, let's try to take the values given over here. 2 into kinetic energy 6.625 into 10 power minus 19 joules divided by Planck's constant value 6.626 into 10 power minus 34 joule seconds, it cancel out, and approximately we get the value here, nu equals to 2 into 10 power minus 19 joules also cancelled out, into 10 power minus 34, plus 34 per seconds. So it is equals to 2 into 10 power 15 per seconds, or it is also can be taken as 10 power 15 or just like this. Nu equals to 2 into 10 power 15. So the answer is B. Hope you understand this one. So do not forget to subscribe the channel to get the more videos like this. Now let's go to another interesting question. You pause the video, solve the question, and then come over here. Which of the following statements is or are correct? If an electrolyte has high lattice energy, it must be a strong electrolyte. See here, lattice energy basically depends on, is directly proportional to the charge carried by the ions. Let us take NaCl and MgCl2. MgCl2 is having the highest lattice energy because magnesium is carrying the +2 charge, whereas sodium is carrying the +1 charge. So we cannot say that MgCl2 only is a strong electrolyte and NaCl is not the strong electrolyte. It is a comparison. So it depends on the comparison. So it is not correct. If degree of dissociation of an electrolyte exceeds 95%, it must be a strong electrolyte. We know that. Let us take the dissociation constant. Kd is equals to C alpha square divided by 1 minus alpha formula. So you take any particular weak electrolyte like acetic acid in a beaker and try to fill it with unlimited amount of the water. So at low concentration, weak electrolytes may not dissociate completely. But when you keep on adding the water unconditionally, so when at infinite dilution, concentration becomes negligible, almost decrease, and degree of dissociation of the weak electrolyte increase. Means at infinite dilution, even for weak electrolytes, the degree of dissociation exceeds 95%. So we cannot decide the nature of the electrolyte based on only degree of dissociation. Hence, it is also wrong. Let's come to the point option C. If the ionization constant of an electrolyte is very large, say K ionization is given 10 power 5, it must be a strong electrolyte. So here we need to discuss a particular thing. We know we used to taught two type of the reactions, reversible reactions and irreversible reactions. Reversible reactions are the reactions in which the reactants are being converted to the products and products also again being converted to the reactants. So it may be equal, it may not be equal. And we say that irreversible reactions are the reactions where the products cannot be able to be converted to the reactants. Actually, all reactions are reversible. There is no particular irreversible reaction. These irreversible reactions are possible only when the product is taken out from the reaction vessel. Otherwise, all the reactions are reversible but with lower equilibrium constant. I'll show it over here. See here, in this case, equilibrium constant is equals to concentration of the product by concentration of the reactant. When equilibrium constant is too high, it means that concentration of the product is more than the concentration of the reactant. So we say that concentration of the product is far greater than the concentration of the reactant. So that equilibrium constant is more over here. And in these reactions, we show it with a single arrow mark. Actually, there is a chance for the product to be converted to the reactant. But the stability of that particular compound in the form of the reactant is less in comparison to the product. That is the reason why the concentration of the product is too far greater than the concentration of the reactant. So that is the reason why here if you write down the equilibrium constant for this type of the reactions, concentration of the product by concentration of the reactant, the concentration of the reactant is almost negligible and it is almost equal to the concentration of the product. So that is the reason why we used to say these reactions are reversible, but these reactions are not irreversible, they are also reversible. So here the ionization, the nature of the electrolyte, so here the concentration of the reactants is too less than the concentration of the product. So when the concentration of the product is 2 more, the equilibrium constant is 2 more. So that is the reason why the nature of the electrolytes can be decided by using the equilibrium constant. Where equilibrium constant is too much high, then we can say that they are the strong electrolytes. So option C is correct. Now let's go to the next question. The ionization constant Ka of a weak monobasic acid Ha is 10 power minus 6. What is the equilibrium constant for the reaction of this weak monobasic acid Ha with NaOH? Let's write down the equation for this. Let's take the weak monobasic acid Ha as acetic acid, as it is well known. So imagine here acetic acid reacts with NaOH and giving sodium acetate plus H2O. Acid dissociation constant is given, that is 10 power minus 6. Ka equals to 10 power minus 6. And they are asking equilibrium constant. So equilibrium constant is to be calculated. Here we know that this is the salt of weak acid and strong base. Salt of weak acid and strong base. Now its reverse reaction is the reaction with the water. So that is called like the hydrolysis of the salt. So for any reaction, the equilibrium constant, for any reversible reaction, the equilibrium constant, if you want to calculate the reverse constant value, then it is the inverse of the forward reaction. So we can write down here, it is equilibrium constant equals to 1 upon hydrolysis constant of salt of weak acid and strong base. And Kh value for this one is 1 upon Kh equals to Kw by Ka. And it can be written as K equilibrium equals to Ka by Kw. And K value is given over here, that is 10 power minus 6. And Kw value is a constant value, 10 power minus 14. So it is equals to 10 power 14, that equals to 10 power 8. So option C is correct. My dear students, hope you understand. If you think that you learned something from this today's concept, please do not forget to subscribe the channel and share it. Thank you.